Hey, what's good, LBK? You know what? Right now, we're going through the election. As I record this, we are in the middle of what they say is the most important election in our lifetime. Democracy is on the ballot and all that stuff. Okay. I tell you what, though, we don't want to do a show about that today. Everybody got their own opinions about everything. And I just really ain't in the mood to talk too much about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of talking about it. I'm trying to be about it. I ain't already voted. And I hope you have too. So that's what it boils down to. Talking about it ain't nothing. Let's be about it. Get out there and vote. Actually, you got about, as I'm recording this, you got about 35 minutes to go vote. Polls close at 7. But here's the thing about the voting, though. I was going to say we'll know tomorrow what's going on. When this episode releases on Wednesday, we should know what's going on. But here's the sad thing. We may not know anything on Wednesday. And that's ridiculous. The reason I say that is for most of my life, whenever you voted on a paper ballot in person with ID. And guess what? They counted all those paper ballots by hand, if not by machine later, and had them done by midnight, maybe 1 or 2 in the morning sometimes. But as I recall, the vast majority of the elections in my lifetime were done on paper ballots and counted by hand, and they were done by midnight. All the votes were tallied. Guess what? As I understand it, that's still the case all over the planet almost. Nobody allows mail-in ballots. Well, I say nobody. Very few countries allow mail-in ballots. Why? Because it's easy to cheat. We have had commissions in our government that have studied this and said they recommend that we discontinue mail-in ballots because it's easy to cheat. Voting machines, if I'm going to tell you a secret, if you don't know, anything that's attached to the internet, and these voting machines are, anything that's electronic can be hacked. Any computer can be hacked. So my question is this. If all throughout the history of this country and in almost every other country around the planet, they count votes in paper ballots by hand, where you have to show up in person on the day of and vote with an ID. They count those ballots and have them done by the end of the night, usually by midnight. Sometimes, a little bit after midnight. That's most of the planet does that. Now, if that has worked all this time and still works all over the planet, why are we using computer voting? That's a real question. Computers are supposed to save you time. So how is it that we use computer voting now and there's a good chance we won't even know tonight who the president is? How is it faster and easier? You remember what happened in 2020? You remember what happened in 2016, 2002? There's all these elections where they're using computers and stuff. I guess it was the hanging chads in 2002, whatever. But the point is, computers are supposed to make life faster and easier. So we have a computerized voting system, and the votes don't get counted by midnight. What? Why are we using it? To me, there can be only one answer to that question, and that's because it's advantageous for somebody to use that form of voting. I don't understand how in every other area of life you get a receipt and it gets processed electronically. So we have the technology now. If you're going to use electronic voting machines, I need to get a receipt sent to my email so I can verify what my vote was, or at least theoretically verify what my vote was. And it should happen immediately. I can go out to eat anywhere. I can go to Dave and Buster's over here. They got a wireless thing. They walk around with the tables and you swipe your card. You do all your transactions right there yourself at your table, and you get a receipt texted to your phone or your email in seconds. But yet the most advanced country on the planet I don't know, because like I said, they haven't started counting yet, supposedly, but we may have trouble counting our votes. We definitely had some trouble in the past. But what kind of sense does that make? And like I say, if you're doing that, and if they're insisting on using these votes, these electronic votes, these mail-in ballots, all this stuff like this, there's been commission after commission all over the planet whose conclusion was that the only reason to use mail-in ballots is to cheat. So I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying, well, I tell you what, when I was in the Air Force, they used to tell us as NCOs and senior NCOs to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Meaning, don't even do stuff. If it even kind of looks questionable, don't do it. right? So that's one of the things that I've taken with me after my service in the Air Force. And that's one of the things where I can't understand, like, you seem to be, the establishment seems to be going out of its way to do things that look shady and look untrustworthy. And yet they keep doing it. And yet I know better than doing that just from serving in the military. Don't do stuff that even, if it looks questionable, don't do it. Like I said, any electronic device can be hacked. And it doesn't even have to be connected to the internet, although as I understand it, these voting machines shouldn't be connected to the internet. They're not supposed to be, but there have been so many examples where people have found that they were. I'm not saying, I don't know what the results are going to be tomorrow. I'm just saying, I feel like they owe us better. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I need to be able to show with my ID, fill out a paper, slide it in, and get a receipt that shows how I voted. A picture in my email or a paper receipt if I want it. They can do that on everything else. Every restaurant can do that. Every store does that. Everything else you do in life does that. Give you a receipt and get your transaction handled in a timely fashion, except voting. And again, if they handle it in a timely fashion tonight, then I'll what they say, I'll eat my hat. I don't have a hat on, so I'll act like I'm eating my hat. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have a lot of problems like they have been. And if they do, man, we deserve better. They shouldn't even be having the appearance of impropriety. They shouldn't even be having to count votes more than the day of voting. Well, it's unacceptable. That's my feelings on it, Lubbock. And hopefully, I don't know if you feel the same way. You may or may not. But that's the way I feel about it. All right, here we go, LBK. Y'all heard that music, so you know what time it is. It is time to focus, LBK. This is your brother Robert Jenkins coming to you with episode 61 of the Focus LBK show. We're going to keep this short and sweet. I got a really good guest coming up, Mr. LaCarl Richardson, and we're going to be talking about The Village in East Lubbock. I ain't talking about the M. Night Shyamalan, that Indian director. I ain't talking about his film, The Village, which was okay. I'm talking about The Village in East Lubbock. And The Village in East Lubbock, according to Mr. Richardson, was basically before segregation, before integration, desegregation, before integration, back at a time when the black community here in Lubbock, according to Ebony magazine, I think it was Ebony magazine, it was a booming place for African Americans to be. So we're going to get into that discussion about the village, and we're going to talk about what happened to the village. Why don't we still have the village over here in the flats? What happened? Mr. Richardson says that, in his opinion, and he lived through this, he's a gentleman of respectable years. It's good to talk with your elders because they have that actual on the ground, boots on the ground memory of what happened. He says it was due to drugs. First of all, the Vietnam War. First of all, desegregation. Then second, the Vietnam War, because people got hooked on heroin over there, and that began the operation of bringing heroin into the United States from Vietnam. Is part of the reason why they do wars, because they like to traffic in drugs. And that wrecked the black community in Lubbock and elsewhere, and also led to the speedy demise, the sad, slow, prolonged demise of the village in East Lubbock. So we'll get into that. Stay tuned for that conversation. But before we get into that, y'all know how we do. I got to tell y'all what's going on. And boy, I tell you what, we got the Rhythm and Rhyme open mic night. It's going to be down the street at Cavill Museum, November 15th at 7. Now, I want y'all to peep my vision out on this. This is the first time I've ever arranged and coordinated something like this. So I don't know how it's going to turn out. It'll definitely turn out good if y'all come on out and support us. I tell you that, though. But the vision on this is, man, it's going to be poetry, music, singing. I'm going to have some of my photographic stuff being exhibited in a certain way. I ain't going to get into it too deep. It's free to attend, so come on through. If you want to spit a poem, you can call my man Ricky Sherfield, the busiest brother in Lubbock, at 903-316-2735. That's 903-316-2735. That's how you sign up if you want to spit. If you don't want to spit, you just want to come on out and enjoy, come on out. Now, I was thinking about making the theme for this event stepping out of your comfort zone. And we're going to have some little prizes that you can win. Some nice little, monetary little cheddar, you know what I'm saying? Some of that plastic cheddar. I ain't going to say no more, but if you are willing to come on out and get loose and enjoy yourself at this event, there'll be a chance to win some of them prizes. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have DJ Shawty Do on the ones and twos, hooking it up. She be jamming. We're going to have maybe a little original music. We're going to have some pictures, some photographs. It's going to be some art. It's going to be a good time is what it's going to be. 7 to 9, Cavill Museum on November 15th. Come on out. Be there or be square. Or rectangular. Whatever that was. Now, 2 days later on the 17th, that's the 15th, on the 17th at Cavill's, they going to have that brother Ricky Surfield, going to have the Black Business Holiday Market. Y'all already know I've talked about this a lot, so be there or be square. I don't know if you can still sign up, but you probably can. Hit up that 903-318-2735. I think they still need a couple of vendors at that event, so hit them up, man. That's the Black Business Holiday Market. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. Look like he's trying to say that's all rolled into one for this holiday market. That's going to be November 17th, 2024 from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Cavill's. Cavill. Everybody say Cavill. Next coming up. Well, you know what? Before I get to that one, because that one happens in March, I got one that actually happens. The Jazzy Christmas Concert, put on by the Roots Historical Arts Committee, the RHAC, the Roots Crew. That's what I like to call them, because I like the rap group, the Roots Crew. So it's a natural fit to say the Roots. Anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. The Jazzy Christmas Concert. It is going to be 6 p.m. is the reception, 7 p.m. is the concert. A single ticket is 80 bones, couples 150, a table 600. Tom Braxton and friends. And by the way, peep the interview we did with Mr. Tom Braxton out. I'm gonna try to link it down here in the show notes. Y'all know how we do. Got a great interview with that gentleman. Just be jamming. My man be blowing on that sax, man. You know what I'm saying? Be killing it. This is the Tom Braxton and Friends special concert benefiting the J&B Braxton Scholarship Fund. It's gonna be. Whoa, I lost my balance a little bit. Let me get my props straight. It's going to be December 14th, 6 p.m. starting. Texas Tech University Museum, Helen DeWitt Auditorium. That's at 3301 4th Street, right there across from on Indiana, 4th and Indiana. At the museum. Y'all know where it's at. Across from the hospital right there, the big old medical complex. So if you want to go to www.selectaseat Lubbock. That's www.selectaseatlubbock.com or call 806-535-2475. That's a good event. You know we're going to be there taking pictures, making videos, making it do what it do. That's just how we do. That's how we roll in my crew. Also, coming up a little bit after that, and I ain't going to say that. I was going to say something, but I don't know if I'm allowed to get into the details on that yet. So I'm going to skip on to the next one. We got the 8th annual First Responders Game, the Mamba Effect, coming up Saturday, March 8th, 2025. That's going to be a great event. Ladette Butler out there shooting them hoops. Man, y'all get on out there. LBK, we have a short and sweet show for you today. So those are the three things I wanted to tell you about. Especially wanted to tell you about that poetry open mic night. Rhythm and Rhyme open mic night. Cavill Museum, November 15th, 7 p.m. That's what I want to tell y'all about. And definitely want to tell you about that Jazzy Christmas concert. Now, having said what I came to say, I'm going to go on and wrap it up. I'm going to get on off the mic because I want y'all to see this intriguing conversation between me and Mr. LaCarl Richardson. Just a really good show, really in-depth conversation. Hope y'all enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, man, hit me up down here in the comments and let us know. I think folks in Lubbock scared to comment. Y'all scared to comment? Ain't nobody leaving no comments. What y'all think people gonna be hating on you or something? Ain't nobody gonna hate on you, man. We just elevating the community, elevating the conversation in the community. So to do that, we need some feedback. A conversation is two ways, you know what I'm saying? So hit me up in them comments, man. Leave it down there. Tell me what's on your mind. And having said that, I'm gonna step on out the door and let this conversation flow. Y'all enjoy. Hey, what's good, LBK? This is your brother, Robert Jenkins. We are in studio today with another special guest. We have longtime Lubbockite, Mr. LaCarl Richardson, who is a certified criminal justice professional. I believe that's a CCJP.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he also works over at what's that Project Intercept, right?
That's Priority Intervention. They changed the name. PIA, Priority Intervention Academy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the old Dunbar, ain't it?
Strugs.
Old Strugs.
Exactly.
Yeah, over there on top of the hill.
Exactly.
Okay. What do you do over there?
We're interventionists and preventionists. I a lot of times just visit try to make sure the kids' needs are met. A lot of times they're dealing with issues no one ever asked them about. So I try to win their trust so they can have opportunity to start opening up and we can start dealing with the issues that whatever's going on in their lives, as well as the family. We attempt to take the holistic approach at times. We try to get the family members involved. You go into the homes, that's the part I like, and address the issues at home as well. You know. So
y'all not just in the school, y'all are in the students' homes in the neighborhood. Huh?
Exactly.
How'd you get into doing that, and how long you been doing it?
Well, my past profession, I worked with the Juvenile Justice Center as well as the Lubbock Housing Authority, and I was always the family counselor. So when I worked with the Juvenile Justice Center, I was able to go into the homes and make a treatment plan out for the kids and the family, provide food or whatever else they need. A lot of times their parents were incarcerated. We always made that connection as well. But just the needs, we had to go in and evaluate, screen and assess the individual to decide what services are needed and what route to take to assist the whole family. Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty important position. I mean, that sounds like you making some impact right there.
Well, very much so, because most of the kids are already in the criminal justice system.
Right.
Okay. So my job was to work out a treatment plan and present it to the judge and the DA, and for them to allow us to have an opportunity to work with these individuals. Okay. So I'd write up a treatment plan and present it to the judge. And in order for them to have an opportunity to go through with the process, they have to cooperate and go through whatever the treatment plan consists of, okay? After a period of time, we'd meet weekly and discuss their progress, okay? And then after a period of time, we'd release them. They either graduate, or if they were uncooperative, they'd be sent back into the system, okay? So it was a real neat job, being able to address the issues at home. You know, a lot of times we deal with these kids, we want to talk about their behavior, but no one ever asks, you know, did you eat last night, or did you sleep last night, or, you know, what's the situation at home? You know, so we're able to address those issues and attempt to assist them with moving forward out of those particular situations.
You know, kids over there that are in the program and at the school there, what's the predominant type of problem or situation that you see? What's the most prevalent thing?
It looks like prison, Hispanics and Black, okay? And I've also been able to go into the prison system as well as the jail at times and visit with inmates, you know, and it looks just like prison. It's like preparation. If you don't intervene, you know, I always tell the kids, once you be removed from school, you know, your next move, you'll be removed from society, okay? So, you know, we have to understand the fact that everybody have rights, constitutional rights, and something simple as that. And I always tell the kids that when you interfere with others' rights, you know, you have to be removed, you know, because that's in the Constitution. So, you know, you have to begin to respect yourself as well as others in order to be able to fit or make the adjustments that's needed into society.
I see. That's very interesting. Have you ever heard of the concept of the school to prison pipeline?
Yes.
And do you believe in that? Is that a thing?
Yes. You know, when I look back, and as I'm sitting here, you know, I was just telling you, I have a tendency to get emotional when I realize and see how things has transpired over the years. You know, I don't know if I'm getting off the subject, but I was born in 1954 in Spur, Texas, and my family moved here in 1956.
Okay.
In this same neighborhood, you know, and when we moved here, we actually.
I heard something in the right in the headphones.
Yeah, there's a truck passing by.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a speaking noise.
Okay. Is it everything good now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead,
Sorry
sir.
about that.
No, that's probably telling what
We actually had a outhouse.
Yeah.
Where we had to go outside and use the bathroom,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, I was 3 or 4 years old during that time, and I actually remember that. And shortly after that, we moved a couple of streets over, which is Cedar, which is right behind this building, and moved right next to the oil mill. And I had asthma real bad, and that was very hard on me. But in 1960, we moved over in the Manhattan Heights area. I think it was a brand new area during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Going to Wheatley Elementary, and and that's during the time of the village. I'm talking about, it was awesome. I mean, when you think about it, if you never saw it, you don't realize what it was like.
When you say the village, what do you mean?
We had principals, school teachers, all our educators were in the neighborhood. They were on the corners, and they were able to assist the parents with raising the children, okay? And we were able to see daily, professionals. I mean, dressed professional and demonstrated professionalism, okay? And that was in the 60s, and I went ahead and left Wheatley in 66 and went over to Struggs, the same school I work at. Now that's what, it's like deja vu. Same school I work at right now. I was there in the 7th grade, and my family decided to move to Parkway, okay? That was, I can say I actually lost my identity when I left the village because Parkway never captured the essence of being a village. We moved over there 2 or 3 families at a time, and there was absolutely no structure for African-American kids, okay? It was my first time in a Eurocentric setting, okay? So I always say I became whoever I needed to be, I thought, okay? And even during that time, was during Martin Luther King was killed in 68, and we had a lot of young men that left the village and went to the army with Vietnam War, okay? And a lot of them never made it home, okay? And so many ways we left our children with the mothers and grandmothers, okay? Even during that time, that's when they built, Estacado was built in 60. First year of Estacado was 67, okay? In 68, I transitioned from Alderson Junior High to Estacado, continued to play a role, being whoever I thought I needed to be. Really, I stopped learning because I was an athlete and I was able to just walk through the system, because of my athletic ability. I always say everything I learned in elementary. I went to Murray Mack, which was Miss Graves back in the day. But during that time, we just lost a handle of the neighborhood. We crossed College Avenue, which is university now.
Yeah.
Most of us cross College Avenue. Not ever returning. We got on drugs, we started chasing,
When you say cross College Avenue, you mean move past university, basically?
It's university now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all moved on the other side of town?
We didn't move. We just had action. We had the opportunity to leave Avenue A.
Oh, I see. So back in the days when it was segregated, you was kind of stuck over here, then you kind of migrated, you was able to go past university.
Migrated only, to leave the village and never return. Most of us went to prison. Then a lot of us was already in Vietnam.
Yeah.
They came home. A lot of the guys came from Vietnam, heroin addicts.
Heroin addicts, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the stability of the village just kind of was dismantled. And shortly after that, crack cocaine hit the scene. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's getting into my time. I remember when crack hit.
Exactly.
And me and my brother Ray, Ray Miller.
Ray Miller.
Yeah, I think you know him if you see him. But we was talking to our younger little brothers, 4 of us. We was talking, me and him, the oldest, and we got 2 that's a big gap.
Right.
And we was talking to them, and we said, I remember back in about 86, 87, that's when crack was hitting.
When it was freebase, it started 81, 80,
right.
82.
And you can hear that in the rap music, like Melly Mel say, freebase.
Right.
But we was telling them, like, back in them days, man, Lubbock had no gangs in it that we knew of.
Exactly.
Then Colors came out in like 88.
Right.
That movie Colors.
Right.
And then when Colors came out, all of a sudden the next day we had Bloods and Crips.
Exactly.
I was like,
Exactly.
That's kind of like what you're talking about. That's like Paradise Lost.
But back during that time, it was young men that transitioned from here to California and brought a lot of that back to Lubbock.
Oh, I
with
see.
The crack cocaine dealing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gangs and drugs go together.
Right. So even for me, when I say I lost my identity, I ended up getting on freebasing and getting on crack. And I lost a son in 1982, and man, I didn't know how to deal with it, and I started dealing with it through freebasing.
Yeah.
And I eventually ended up homeless, and left the streets with 4 or 5 felonies, and was just blessed, man, to even be in the position that I'm in today.
Mm-hmm. Did you serve time? You ended up serving time?
Man, I had 5 felonies, man, and God delivered me from every last one of them. And when I think about the fact that when I was in those cells, he was there with me, and that's why I know my fullest purpose is not for me; it's for those that he placed in my life, man. And since I've been clean and sober, it's been 32 years. I've been up in courtrooms and jailhouses, and he's given me the opportunity to assist individuals with being released, man, through the power and glory of God, And I've been a vessel, ever since. And even now, man, I'm 70 years old, and I'm continuing to serve. That's what I am, a server. Even as I'm over in that school every day, man, I continue. Sometimes I wonder why am I still there, but then I see situations that occur, man, that if someone wasn't there to assist these individuals, they would continue to go on a downward spiral, So, he demonstrates to me daily my fullest purpose, and it's definitely not about me. It's about those that he placed in my life, And during the time that when I came off the streets, I was connected to Every Joe Hooper, I know, Scoop and Oscar D and Quincy White. See, those guys, they took me up under their wing, man, and took me up into some areas and to meet people, and a lot of doors was open through my relationship with them. My biggest fear was when they decided to retire, that a lot of those doors would close, And I was adamant about continuing to be in a position where I can assist and serve, okay? And I was able to start this organization called My Brother's Keeper. And that was the purpose of My Brother's Keeper, man, is to go to be in a position where we can keep these doors open and continue to serve the community and be there for our children, And I always say that we left the village, we left our kids with mother and grandmother, and I always apologize because, now, you can tell the effect that it has had on the community.
The fatherlessness.
Yes. And so that was the purpose of My Brother's Keeper, the one that we formed here in Lubbock, Texas. It's called the Keepers of My Brothers and Sisters, because, where would we be without our women,
Yeah.
So, and we've been pretty strong and adamant about continuing to serve the community and be in a position to where we can assist. And we built some awesome relationships in this city, through the city hall and courthouse and, and everyone, they know who we are and what we stand for.
Yeah.
And they've also assisted us in becoming a part of the school system. I have another brother that works over at John Y. Irving, that's been there probably 20 years now. It's because of the service that we provide.
Yeah. I want to talk some more about the mission of My Brother's Keepers, my keeper of my brothers and sisters. But before we do that, you said a name that I'm familiar with. You talked about Quincy White.
Oh, man.
And I barely remember him. I don't remember why I remember him, but I know his name. I think I know his face. I'm seeing a dark-skinned brother, kind of heavy set, close haircut.
Yeah, close haircut. I guess Quincy is about 6'2", 6'3". and was always a gentleman. Always.
What was he doing? What was his position back in the
He was
days
assistant.
that he influenced you?
He was the assistant city manager.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's even during the time I worked at the housing authority. I think something came up to where they needed some assistance with the housing authority, so they allowed him to transition over to the housing authority to get it straighten everything back up. And after it was straight, he went on back to the city hall. Yeah, he's only been retired, I guess, man, about 7, 8, maybe 10 years. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome young man. I always tell everybody we had our own Billy D. Williams in Quincy, and we had and Oscar. I always said he was our I can't think of the other guy's name, but anyway, we had men in the neighborhood that demonstrated, man, integrity and honesty, and and gave us the skills, man. We could walk out our doors and see it every day. These kids, they don't see it, and if we don't reach back and give it to them, man, they'll never see it, they'll never know.
Do me a favor. Describe for the listeners what the flats used to be, Queen City, Steen City, if you remember all that stuff right there.
I do.
And the reason I want to touch on that, down at Cavill's Museum down there,
Right.
I was reading something the other day. They got a picture in there, and I was reading on it, and it said, at that time, I think it might have been the 40s and 50s,
Right.
Ebony and Jet magazine and all the black magazines said Lubbock, Texas was a mecca for black people.
Right. I'm telling you, we had our doctors, we had our pharmacists, we had our lawyers. We didn't, everything we needed was already in place, man. And when I think about even the hospital, when I lived right on Cedar, right down from, we even had our own clinic where we'd get our shots, go to school. And, when you talk about Booker T. Washington Park, man, it was just a congregation, man. It was like, oh man, it was always a lot of joy and a lot of excitement. And me being younger, I was able to sit back and watch a lot of the guys that lived it, they were just living it. And I admired, the setup and the way everything was as far as the village and the community giving back. We had our own store. We didn't have to cross Avenue A, you know. But you were asking about the flats now. Part of the flats was right across the street from where we are, Avenue A, B and C. And then it carried on over to 4th Street, A, B, and C.
Okay.
Broadway separated it.
Oh.
Okay. And a lot of the young people that grew up over there, we had some apartment complex called Ebony Arms. It was over by Flying J, behind where Flying J is. Okay.
That truck stop.
Truck stop, right. And most of those individuals that lived in that area, they went to school at Thompson Junior High, and a lot of those went on to Lubbock High. The ones that was on at that end of Avenue A, B, and C. And those relationships really didn't form until later, And you talk about Queen City, it was right behind us, about 3 blocks down the street, and it was like saloons. You had them lined up, and you go in and out of the other. It was really a hardcore, place. We had some individuals that everywhere you go, you have that lifestyle, the streets. And it was definitely the streets. Matter of fact, I had an uncle or two that was frequent those areas, that ended up doing time back in the day.
Yeah. My dad told me, he said he remember back in that area over there, even seeing somebody got killed and there's a brother dead laying in the street. He say people didn't even call nobody for him, just stepped over him and kept on going to the next club or whatever, the next bootleg joint or whatever the case was.
Right.
So it sounds like was that connected with like the bootlegging scene too?
Yeah, it was but it was a disconnect because those particular individuals that frequent that area, they had their own culture.
Yeah.
Okay. And and then as far as the other culture, the educated individuals, it was respect and honor. It was a saying said, even thieves respect other thieves or something like that. And then even that particular population wouldn't allow anybody to disrespect a lady, disrespect. We played May Simmons baseball down, and that was our training ground, you know. And there was a lot of fathers in our lives, and they all would have a team, and we practice every day, and we play each other, and you know. But it was still that camaraderie. We after the game, we get snow cones and walk home, and you know. And we was attempting to come up with a reunion for that particular place because it was, like I said, it was a training ground. It gave us a lot of life skills that we continue to use today. But yeah, and even during that time, the ones that we had the hardcore that was criminals that did the criminal activity, okay, and they'd stay in their lane. I mean, it'd be mothers and fathers in the stands be full. But if one of the ones that with the criminal mindset would even go over and interfere with the parents, or the people, the educated people, they would check one another. They'd make sure that, you know, that there was respect and honor on all lanes, you know. And even then, they wouldn't cross those boundaries, you know. You know, in churches, we've had churches in the neighborhood, and even though the one with the criminal element, I've known them to make sure they paid their tithes, they sent their money to church, you know. So it was always honor amongst thieves. Yeah, you know, that was the saying. Yeah, you know. But now, you know, the disrespect and honor. I mean, it was real thin if it's any. You know, and that's because again, you know, the men we left, we were unable to demonstrate the honesty and integrity and respect, you know, because we were gone. And again, you know, and our mothers and grandmothers held the village up, man, while we were gone.
What caused that exodus of men from the village? Was you say the Vietnam War was one?
War,
the crack epidemic.
Yeah, and heroin addicts, you know, and it was just, you know, we became unfit.
So you're really saying the drug war and the global military-industrial complex and the drug war, because that's tied together, really took a toll on black men in Lubbock. Men everywhere.
That's right.
But especially in Lubbock. We talking about Lubbock.
Right,
you know, so
right. The dynamics, man, just destroyed us. You know, a lot of people might not understand what I say. Integration hurt us worse than it helped us in this time.
I've often read that, and I kind of subscribe to that. I didn't grow up during those time frames, but looking back on it, it seems like it makes some sense. You was there. What'd you see?
Divide and conquer. You know, even for when I left Struggs Junior High and went to Alderson, and they built us Staccato, man, the same kids I grew up with, went to church with, and just played with every day, man, we became robbers. And we became somewhat enemies. You know, we didn't, you know, we were so stuck on the school tradition where we forgot where we came from, okay? Now, I came out in 72, and my class, I think, was affected the most because we were in Struggs Junior High 67 and 68, okay? And I'd have to say, if you're less than 70 years old, you missed it, you didn't see it, okay? And what frustrates me is the parents. The ones that didn't see it still hold animosity because of the different schools you went to. But then there was the same families that transitioned from one side of town to the other just because some families thought they wanted to live a bigger house, or another house. You know, just wanted to increase, you know, their lifestyle. You know. And we became, again, now I'm back in the village, I'm back on where I was raised in Dunbar area, and I got friends, man, that we 70 years old, and we didn't become friends again until we was over 60 years old just because of where we went to school.
That seems like it's, like there must have been something behind that. It couldn't have just been the schools. Wasn't nothing behind that?
Well, it was, you know,
because like me and I'm sorry to interrupt, like me and my homeboys. Well, so we went to McKenzie.
Okay.
And then when time came, I went to Lubbock High. Okay. Several of my buddies went to Lubbock High. We all went that way. But the cats, we went to McKenzie. We went to Coronado.
Right.
But we wasn't mad at them. You know what I'm saying? Man, I mean, we like to bust their head in football, like get our head busted one.
Man, it disconnected us, man. It became just say for instance, like them Estacado won state in football in 1968. nobody, and Dunbar won state and track the spring of 1968. So the fact that whole scenario was ignored, the fact that Escata won state covered up the fact that Dunbar had already won state right before school was out. They won in May, and then in the fall, Escata came back and won state.
Oh, gotcha.
But it was just so, and then Escata became so dominant, man. And most of us we were raised over here, and we was prepared over here. We went to struggle, so it was almost like we had turned our back on where we came from. About 15 or 20 of us, and most of us started for Escata. But the coaches over here taught us how to play, okay? Coach over here taught me how to run track, run the hurdles, and then after he taught me how to run the hurdles, I went to Alderson, and then I beat everybody that was over, it was like, I could understand the frustration of the coaches during that time, But if you knew the village before there was Escata, you'd be able to receive identify more with what actually transpired. I'm over at PIA right now, man. We got kids don't even know their relatives, man. And during the day, I'm making connections. I'll go get this little girl and say, "This is your cousin." You know what I'm saying? And tell them how they related. You know what I'm saying? And I'll call the grandpa and say, "Man, come up here and meet your grandkid." So even during that disconnect, man, we lost our identity, and the kids never knew, and nobody never gave it back to them.
So we really getting into some deep stuff then. If kids today don't even know their family members.
You know what's going on.
Well, if you don't even know your family member, how well are you being raised in the first place?
Man, and then we got to consider incest now.
Because you don't even know who you're messing with.
I've seen it. It's a scare. Now, our families, I know yours too. Make sure your kids know who their people are. And they say something like, you don't want them going together later on. But it was like, yeah, right.
You don't think about that.
Yeah. But now, man, it's going on.
Wow.
And I'm talking about it now. Even when you help them to identify it, man, it's like it don't matter. That's sick, man. You know what I'm saying? So, it becomes frustrating, when you see the village like it was, and then you see how it is now, man. I know society wonder how did we get to this part? How did we end up where we are?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially, Eurocentric Lubbock. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a time I felt we could compete on their level. I'm not just talking about the educators. I'm talking we were educated to a point to where we could, even though when we got our books in elementary and junior high school, there's already 4 or 5 names in it, and they had given the books to us after they got through with them, okay? Even when you talk about uniforms, we had some strong African-American ancestors, man, that came through here, man, and was preparing us, man, for what was next. And it was us, it was my generation, man, that dropped the ball, And then, we have educated people, man, that just left here, man, because of the mindset of Lubbock, Texas, And then here I am now. I've been, even during the time when integration occurred, I've been so naive, man, thinking that everything was better than it ever been, man. But in the last 10 years, man, I see, man, it's worse than it ever been, man. I've always traveled up and down the highway. And, I'm 70 years old, man. Do you know I'm scared now to ride up and down the highway to these little towns? Because, you just don't. I never considered the mindset. I just thought it had changed. And it hadn't. It hadn't. And even as we talk about, what's next in America and what's next for African-American men and women, we got to stand up and realize, man, if we don't prepare a place for our children, man, what do they have? They have nothing to hold on to.
Yeah.
And if they constantly remove them from schools to a place like we going, where I work, they prepare them to be removed from society, man.
Yeah,
You know?
that was deep what you said. If they remove you from school, that's the first step to removing
Yeah.
you from society.
That's right.
And but that's based on your own behavior, though.
Yeah, but where do the behavior?
And it come from the, like you say, it sounds like you saying it come from the family, lack of the family.
Well, it came from the fact that we stopped doing what we knew how to do.
Yeah,
Man, we had carpenters, we had concrete layers, we had electricians, we had everything in the neighborhood. Nobody passed it on, and nobody picked it up. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I was talking to Reggie Dial not too long. You know, he got El Roby, and they do those. They do on the job training,
right.
and try to get people into the trades, young people into the trades. And
Right.
I think that's to me. I would like to see more, as many of us as possible. You know, in this younger generation coming up.
Right.
I would, if I had any clout any kind of way, I would tell people I wouldn't even worry too much about college.
Right.
Get you a trade.
Right.
And make some money and don't be in debt.
Right. Exactly.
Because them trades allow you to build a family, and the family is the basis of the community.
That's right.
Community is the basis of the city. The city is the basis of the state. State is the basis of the nation. You start with strong careers in your family and skills, and you passing them on.
Right.
I feel like we need a renaissance, rebuilding.
Man. We do. You know, and when you talk about at that time in the 70s, it's like we got a chance to go to college. And everybody we're going to college. But man, very few went and made it all the way through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, like you say, the trades, man, if we'd have picked up, we was already doing what we needed to do.
Right.
We just stopped doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I was telling Reggie when he was on the show, I know about 3 or 4 cats that I've met that are good friends of mine that, as far as I know, they either millionaires or pretty close to it. Mm-hmm. And none of them went to college, and all of them started a trade and got their own business, started their own business.
Exactly.
And now own either one very good business, or you done branched out, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
One of them is a college guy. He's an insurance guy, but the other was a security guy. One's a mechanic. Other owns an HVAC company.
Right. That's what I have said it. That's what I admire about the Hispanic culture, man. Mm-hmm.
Yep. We had some cats out to the house the other day fixing the AC.
Right.
2 Hispanic cats.
They got after high school, they went on and went into the workforce. No
debt.
That's right. Even for me, now here I am 70 years old and still in the workforce. It's because of the choices I've made. Mm-hmm. But yet still, I could have took an easier route. I went on to college. I played ball, but I didn't finish. And the reason I didn't, again, because of my work ethics. As far as after I got to high school, and I didn't learn very much. Mm-hmm. I went through the motions, and and they thought I was being cool and slick, and people doing my homework and taking tests, and I screwed myself. And then when I got to college, I took all my electives. I ended up being a junior. Mm. But after that, man, it got real tough. Yeah. It got real tough. So, that was my bad. So I never told my mother that until years after, it just it became too complex for me, so. Mm-hmm. And then that was 4 years I had wasted,
Mm-hmm. So it really sounded like the whole sort of the stumbling block in Lubbock for Black people was the whole, like I said, the military industrial complex, Vietnam, and all the drugs that came with that. Right. And then that right there, scattering families to the wind, breaking families up. And then you coming back from war addicted to drugs, or you on the street selling and using drugs. Now you're in prison.
Right. And I think about even when what they call urban renewal that came in, and it was the urban removal, because whatever the things that we did have, it was removed, It was cleaned up and cleaned out, because we were thinking the transition was going to be better, and that never occurred,
Describe that a little bit. So urban renewal, I've heard some people beat around the bush. Don't nobody seem like they want to talk about it too much, but what happened with that?
You never really knew much about it, you just heard about it, and they, it came in and changed the dynamics of the businesses, and
So they cleared out Black businesses, or
and
like
so to speak,
the flats and the
right. Just and really didn't never know much about it. You just knew they was there, and things that began to change, and a lot of empty lots and different stuff I can't speak on that very much, but I just recall, hearing about it. I was alive during that time, but I can't see, where it benefited us.
Right,
exactly.
And you say really integration didn't really seem to benefit
No, it didn't
us.
benefit us. And then even after we went to the war and went to prison and all this, and then what they call it, the governor's sisters came into the homes and to assist grandmothers and our mothers with our children. And then even when Dad got out of prison, if he went home, the kids couldn't eat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, we had to start, even if we wanted to be a part of the family, we had to start, instead of being a father, trying to coach the kids from a distance, because you didn't want to take away what they had,
Right, especially if you come out of prison, you may not even be able to provide nothing at the moment.
Exactly.
So you definitely don't want to mess up what they got.
Exactly.
So really, you had every incentive not to get involved.
Exactly.
Or to, like you say, stay at a distance.
Don't take away what they have, if you don't have nothing to give back, So it became an issue as well, so father just kind of bagged off and stayed away to make sure the kids were going to eat, and, so it was our fault again, the dynamics that occurred, because, somebody, they came in with the assistance, but now the assistance has been around so long to where a lot of mothers, that's what they wait on,
Yeah, and some people say the state has become the husband and the father.
Right. I had never heard that, but that's correct. That's what it sounds. I mean, man, that's what it looks like, And then it becomes, I don't want to get too deep, but
go ahead. We can go down the prairie dog hole with it, because I kind of got a question in my mind that I wanted to ask you, but I'm gonna let you say what you're gonna say though.
And I don't want to offend nobody, but that's when our women start becoming masculine.
I understand.
In control,
moving into them roles.
Yeah,
not even accustomed to having a man around.
Right.
You expanded who you are to fill in a role that ain't there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now they can be a mother, but that father still is, as always, a need for African American father, because the adjustments, man, that has to be made, man. And some of the things that even for me, I'd be outspoken, but even though a lot of times we send our kids, out of the village, because you think they got a better chance on the other side of town, and if they're not an athlete, they don't, there's not very much support, and then if you are an athlete, after you're a senior and it's all over, how can they teach you how to be a black man? Instead of being where you can learn your skills as you go through. That's just my deal. That's my deal, And, God bless our mothers and grandmothers, because they the ones that has held up the camp. They the ones that has made sure that we've been able to get to this part, okay? So, but I still feel like, our brothers need to know, because this adjustments has to be made, man, all your life, man. Yeah. Society ain't built for us.
Yeah.
You have to make those adjustments, even if it means you know what I'm saying, just correcting some things about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I had issues with Eurocentric America. I had issues with white men, okay? And man, after I started getting my life together, man, I realized that was my issue. It had nothing to do with them. You know what I'm saying? But yet still,
go into that a little bit. What kind of issues you had with them, and what made you realize it was inside you?
Well, I always felt like it was there to suppress and oppress. Okay? And when I got on drugs and I got my life together, it was Eurocentric. It was white men that gave me a hand up. You know what I'm saying? And through that, even my first job, for drugs, I worked at the Greyhound bus station. I'll never forget this guy's name. His name was Cody. He gave me a job. And this job, I'd lost my family, and this job allowed me to travel back and forth to Fort Worth to try to win my family back on the bus, every week.
Yeah. Wow.
And then
that's God right there.
Yeah, it is. And then shortly after that, I was living at Billy Meek's halfway house, and I needed this guy my super, the one that was over the facility, man. I needed 6 months clean, man, in order to get a job there. Okay, I had 5 months and probably a week, man. And there's a white man that worked them 3 weeks for me. And, you know, so held the job until I got that 6 months in, man. And ever since then, man, I've been serving ever since I got that spot at Billy Meeks. I've been in the field of recovery, man, and giving back, you know. And then, you know, again, that was my issue. It had nothing to do with them. So you have to realize, you know, the correction you need to make, you know, in order for you can't, you know, you can't allow your own discrepancies keep you back. Just accept it and go on, you know. And I can say today, I love those guys, man. You know, I do, man.
Yep.
You know, and I was able to, my wife, I was living at the halfway house when we got together, and it's been 32 years. And I moved out of the halfway house and married her, man, and been blessed, and God continued to put me in a position, man, to serve, to give back, man. That's all, man. I can tell you some stories, man, about guys being released from prison, man. I can tell you some stories, man, about me getting calls from DAs, man, and you know, and having a conversation with them, and you know, and then one of them particular DAs, you know, after talking to me, he said it was nothing that I could say to assist. He thought it was. He was asked to call, and I just laid it online and told him who I was, where I came from, man. And somebody gave me a chance. And man, shortly after that, they called me. The secretary called me and told me that to set the guy free, man. And left home, man, and my truck drove itself. It's like it turned the corner, and there the guy was. He didn't even know it. And I said, man, you need to praise God. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, man, you're not going to state jail. He said, what you talking about? I said, call your lawyer, man, but you need to praise God, man. You're not going to state jail. Okay, about 7 years after that, I was working at the Juvenile Justice Center. I was going to get some gas at the 7-Eleven across from Jones Stadium. And I was getting some gas, and this guy ran over to me, and he was like, man, come here, man. And he says, man, he said, man, I'm married now. You know, I got 3 kids, man. And I lived at probation now. And he said, I've been telling my family about you. I want you to meet him. I want you to meet him. So I walked over, man, and met his family, man. It's such a rewarding situation, man. Such a rewarding situation. Had another opportunity, man, where a guy wanted to go to the Army, man, but he had assault. And we visited, you know, and then the young lady decided to drop the charge. And the young man went to Iraq, did two terms in Iraq, and came back and married that young lady. Went to Kentucky, and then they had a son. They lived up in Kentucky, you know, stuff like that, man. So I was always able to go back and share with the other party, let them know, man, that was a success, you know. So, you know, and again, man, I have to be humble, man, because I know, man, even for me, man, shoot, man, I went to court, man, and they misspelled a word in the dictionary, man, that let me go, you know. When, you know, I'm in jail, and the guy that committed the crime ended up in the cell with me, you know, and then told me what the other parts of what was taken, where they were, and, you know, and set free. There was 4 or 5 times, man. You know what I'm saying? And man, it ain't nobody but God. You know, and you know, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just grateful and want to continue to be grateful, man. So, you know, but when I think about it, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to reflect, you know, from my childhood, man, to this point, man, and you know, again, you know, I'm misunderstood a lot because, you know, I choose not to be culturated. A lot of time I choose not to assimilate. You know, I choose to be myself.
Yeah. I think that's probably really the most important thing is to be true to yourself, though.
Right.
Let's talk solutions lastly before we jump off the air. And so we talked about, you know, kind of the slide into the situation that we in,
right,
and some of the causes of it. But what do you think is I feel like it took decades for us to slide in here. I think it's going to take decades to pull ourselves out. Right. What do you think is some of the first stuff we should be trying to do to help ourselves?
Man, hats off to Reggie Dow.
Yeah.
For the program that he's awesome young man. And I knew his, you know, I've been knowing him all his life. But we also have a program over at Byron Martin Center, man, and we got some brothers. We got Joby Henry Anderson, He's a welding teacher over there. And we got Javard Deschamps, you know, and he's the criminal justice educator over there, you know. So we got some people in place, man. We just got to redirect our kids, man, and send them in that direction. And we have to get in these schools and get with these counselors, man, so they can start referring our kids and networking, man, to different agencies, man. We got a young man over at PIA by the name of Ladette Butler. He brings people in, man, every week. The mayor was there the other day, you know, so he's getting the kids exposed, you know, and then we have to teach them skills, basic skills, man, you know. You know, sometimes, you know, thank you, please, and yes, ma'am, no, sir, you know. They've never been programmed to do that. So, you know, when you allow them to know the importance of it, you know what I'm saying, you know, it'll take you a long way, you know, even we've had a program where, you know, even my brother's keeper, when the police would have these kids jacked up, stopped, you know, we even brought some of the officers here, man. We got some good, nice officers. We brought them and let them know who we were. And when y'all stop and we stop, we want y'all to know who we were. We're not interfering. We just want to coach these kids how not to get, you know, no more charges. Because what they'll do, they will ask them to turn around and they want to handcuff them, they'll move their hand, and then that's an assault, and then you know, then all kind of stuff come with that. Before it's over, they have 4 or 5 cases, man. So, you know, that's another thing we can do, man, is get out there on the streets and let them know that we want to assist our kids and give them those type of skills, man. They never receive them, you know. And, you know, it's just, it's so much that can be done. And if these organizations will come together, man, you know, everybody got a different gift, you know, and my brother's keeper, man, we're in the trenches, you know, we deal with gangs and drugs, and that's what we designed for, you know, and, you know, that's another job that I had, man. I had a job where I dealt with the Crips and Bloods, you know, and man, even today, man, the love that they give me, man, golly, man, it's overwhelming, man. I get emotional. You know, because that was the time I'd take them, scoop every whipping and we'd take them to the May Simmons Community Center, man, and put them in a circle, man. I'm talking about a broad circle, man. We'd put the Bloods over here and the Crips over here, and we'd get on the mic, man. And they had their mothers sitting behind them, you know, and, you know, ask them, what can we do, man, to stop this, man? What's next, you know? So even through that, man, the relationships that was built through that, man, it has been awesome, man. And, you know, even I can be in the store and if a kid is using profanity, man, and one of those guys, they're 45, 50 years old now, they'll check them, man. That's Mr. Richardson, man. You don't do that, you know. And there was a time we've taken to the Smith unit. We'd get a couple of vans load and take them to the Smith unit, man, and take them in there, man, and hand them off to the prisoners, man, and let them take them through that, man, so get exposed to that, you know. So we just need more programs, man. We need funding, man. You know, even for the keepers, man, we've had a hard time getting funded. You know, we've hired lawyers, man, that has got more than $1 million worth of funding from, you know, Cooper and stuff, and we hired the same lawyer, man, only not to be able to get, or, you know, get in the ring and get some assistance with some of the things that we need, you know, like vans and we just need to educate, man. The educational component, man, and it's missing. You know, it's missing real, man. But, you know, if we come together and start, when we come, because I always, in the ministers, man, you know, that's a different story.
What's that?
The ministers.
What's different about it?
We brought individuals into our neighborhood that knew nothing about who we were or what our needs were. We brought individuals in our neighborhood that came here with their own agenda. Okay, which you can't blame them. You know, want to retire, want to take care of my family, and, you know, I want to live in a house, free house, you know, so, so, but it has dismantled, man. That mindset has dismantled the churches, man. You can go to every church over here, man, and it's it might be one of them full. But if you look back over the generations of where I came from, there are kids I mean, everybody that was in my generation that attended the church across the street, I don't want to call them that, every last one of us are no longer there.
Mm.
So what did that do to our kids? They never got it. Now their kids never got it. Okay? So it's like 2 or 3 generations just went awry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of the mindset of the people that they brought here. And I honestly have to say that now, you know, because my mother knew how I felt, you know, and I would express my feelings, but now I understand their need, because actually they needed someone that could reach them. Okay, even when I go now to church, I know a lot of the young ministers. It's like they trying to win souls. Okay, but you know, somebody my age, you know, that know God, you know, you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time hollering and going on, you know, just because I know who God is, and I know the things that He's already done for me. So now I understand that might have been the need my mother and them needed during that time. But as far as the kids, you know, we fell off. We fell off, man. And again, as I think about it, man, it's probably, I mean, I can say there's maybe 2 people that grew up with me at that church that's still there. You know. And Reginald, the Dow family, man, you know, and then you go to the school and you end up realizing who the kids are. And then you realize that this is the same kid, grandkid or great-grandkid that granddaddy used to usher at this place. You know, it's like,
yeah.
You
He
know?
don't even go to church.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Don't even go to that church.
Don't go to nobody's church.
Don't go to no church.
When you talk about where did we drop the ball, and I've been talking for 30 minutes, we dropped the ball. We dropped the ball when we stopped sending kids to church. Because ain't nobody like the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, that's what His carried us this far, you know.
Yeah.
And even as I walk the halls at the school and I pray and thank God all day, you know, and they have no clue. They ask me, why are you thanking Him, you know, just because I'm still here, you know. So when the cornerstone of the community has been the church. And then even the ministers, it didn't matter what church you went to. You know, if they saw you doing something inappropriate, or if they felt like they needed to intervene, it wasn't because you didn't have to be a part of their flock. You know, the community was the whole flock. So, you know, it's just a different mindset, man. And you know, and it irritates me, man, that it has got this far. You know, so then you talk about education. You know, the most important education that we need, man, is knowing God.
Yeah.
Knowing Christ, knowing that Bible, you know, because everything that is occurring now has occurred in that Bible, and you can go in there and find it. You know, and we need to teach our kids that.
Nothing new under the sun.
No, exactly. We need to teach our kids that. And I don't want to keep that dwelling on the church deal, because we've been there, you know.
Yeah.
And even when it came to, we had some kids that needed to go all-star team that needed to go to Midland, Odessa, to play an all-star game. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be quiet. We could not get a church to give us a van.
Oh, man.
To take the kids.
Where were they from, the kids? From
MLK baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. So even during that time, I know for a fact a few of my friends that came before me just kind of dissolved their idea of church and
because of the failures to really do something from the church to really help.
And the church is needed, man, desperately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of a somber note to end it on. But man, I tell you what, LBK, that gives us a good direction to look in as far as areas for improvement for the future.
Yeah, man. Take our kids to church, man.
Yeah.
You know, what else? I mean, the rest of it will come. You know.
Yeah.
Take them to church, have them, you know.
Yeah. We gotta get back on our search. We was looking for a church home, and there's so many churches,
right.
And then you get so busy in life, you make up excuses. We got to cut the grass on. We started cutting the yard on Sunday, and busy on Saturday and Friday, so you move everything to Sunday, and then that becomes an excuse not to go to church. And
Right.
I bet it's the same with everybody. You just
Me?
you let excuses get in the way.
Yeah. And again, man, like it's the old saying, man, people from the streets can see through muddy water.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ain't right, you know what I'm saying, we don't go, we don't enter, and
Oh yeah.
and if to me, when people of my nature, people that came from where I came from, you often wonder if we're welcome
At these new churches.
at the church, because of because we can see through muddy water.
Yeah.
And our churches are full of sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been noticing that in a church I used to go to in Maryland. We used to talk about that a lot. Why is it that black men don't mess around with church too much half the time?
Man, I'm telling you. You lived in Maryland?
Mm-hmm.
What part?
We was in Odenton, right outside Baltimore for the most part.
I lived in Laurel.
Oh yeah, Odenton's right around the corner from Laurel.
Yeah, I lived in Laurel, man.
Yeah, what you was doing up there?
On that, man, I was down on Pennsylvania Avenue with all the dope fiends.
Yeah.
I had made up my mind I was going to die there, man. And God brought me home.
That's good. I'm glad he did.
Yeah. And see, when I say Pennsylvania Avenue, you know what I'm talking
DC,
about.
yeah.
And I was there.
Down the street from the White House.
I was there during the time Marion Barry got caught. I was there. I was down the street.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But God bless you, man. Thank you for bringing me in. I hope I didn't say too much.
No, I think it's a very good conversation, and I think we said what needed to be said. And I appreciate you coming on the show, spending a little time with us. And
we got to get busy, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say with your various endeavors and organizations and stuff like that, man. If you need something from, we do pictures and cameras and stuff. So
okay,
reach out to us, man. We'll be happy to get in where we fit in.
And man, this particular interview has motivated me, man, because a lot of times I wonder what am I doing and why am I still doing it, and again, if, I can sit in the back room. It's not about me, I just want to see us come together, man. And I'll do whatever it takes, as far as participating and being obedient, man. I just love our children, man, and I want them to be okay, man, and I'm going to stay in position that God continue to put me in, man, so I can serve and be there, man, because if we don't, man, they're going to kick them out, kick them around, man, and, and everybody gets tired, and we got some kids, man, that already been beat up, man, and it don't take much, man, for them to just give up.
Right.
And quit.
Right. And that is what we cannot allow. LBK, you have no doubt, I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. Learned a lot. I love talking with my elders, people that was actually, I be reading stuff in books. You was already there. You saw it. You ain't got to read it in a book. Right. I love getting that firsthand account. I appreciate you for coming on, Mr. Richardson. And like I said, if y'all need any kind of support that we can provide, man, reach out to us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, LBK, there you go. You heard it from the gentleman himself, Mr. LaCarl Richardson. Man, does a lot of great things in the community. Works over at the at Struggs over there doing the programs. Really just trying to intervene on behalf of our young people. And if, by the way, he said something they needed funding, and if you got the talent to write grants and stuff like that, or something you think you can help out with, of course, hit us up and we'll relay the message, or you can hit them up. What's a good contact information for you?
lcrich1954@gmail.com.
Okay, say that one more time.
lcrich1954@gmail.com.
All right. Well, we're going to let it hang right there, LBK. But until next time, this is the Focus LBK Show. This is your host, Robert Jenkins. And we want to thank y'all for tuning in. All right. Peace.